Welcome to Season 2 of Coming Home to Ourselves, where we aim to bridge the gap between the sacred and modern day responsibilities, barriers, and life. I am Denise Alyssa, your host, channel, mystic, and guide, and I aim to empower you to become your own self-healer and an embodied co-creator of your life, supporting you in shedding what no longer serves and aligning you with your most authentic and connected version of self. Please note that I am not a medical professional and nothing said in this podcast should be misconstrued as medical advice or replacement of such. If you'd like to know more about my background, training, or the workshops, ceremonies, or other work I offer, please visit www.denisealyssa.com. Hello, friends. Thank you for being here. Welcome to our Summer Solstice podcast episode. Summer Solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere is on Friday, June 20th, and it marks the longest day of the year and the shortest night. So, what does that mean energetically? What does that mean cyclically? How do we tune into that? And how do we connect with that seasonal shift to support this inner self-loving, authentic work that we've been leaning into from here, as in when summer solstice hits? I understand that this episode is releasing early in June, as all of my episodes release the first Sunday of the month. But from the summer solstice, the days will begin to get shorter and the nights will begin to get longer. And that can feel kind of like contradictory, because I think here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've kind of been taught that summer solstice is the beginning of summer, that now the sun is here, the days are going to get longer. But actually, the days have been getting longer since the winter solstice in December. So we have been enjoying that time of kind of reawakening, slowly coming out of hibernation, and then spring hits and we're coming back to life. And around the spring equinox is when we're really starting to plant seeds of intention and to reawaken, right? That is that rebirth energy where we start to come out of our caves, we reemerge into the world, we watch nature reemerge as well. The flowers begin to bloom, the early spring blooms. But at that time is kind of when we get to work, you know? We have started to reawaken to life. And if we have been effectively honoring our own inner winter and our hibernation period, ideally, come spring, energetically and physically, we are feeling a little bit more ready to re-enter the world and to get into action. So during spring, we really focus on tuning into ourselves, evaluating what have we learned through our own interwinter, through that hibernation period, through that time of really tuning inwards and self-reflecting. And then spring, we are evaluating those lessons, what we've learned. We are evaluating what we want to leave behind, what doesn't want to come with us back into the world, what are we ready to shed and, leave in our cave of hibernation. What do we want to bring with us as we reemerge? And as we do that, we start to plant seeds of intention for what we want to grow, what we want to see come to fruition in our lives, what we're looking to manifest into our lives. And when it comes time for summer solstice, I had kind of a new sentence came to me as I was sitting with the energy of summer solstice prior to recording. And that was to invite you to consider summer solstice as like the midsummer pause. Okay. So it is halfway through the year after winter solstice, halfway through that 12 months. And the winter solstice is when we are really tuning inwards and going into hibernation. Spring is when we are awakening, but we can't continue that energy of action that energy of doing consistently all the way through till the next winter solstice, right? That's not how we're meant to live. We are cyclic beings. So it's important to take that time to pause and to rest. You have planted your seeds in spring. Most of them are probably just coming up, right? If we're thinking physically, if we're going to use an actual gardening analogy, which I do like to do because it's so fitting energetically as well. So if you think about it in the physical, you've planted your seeds, they're underground. They take some time to really germinate under there. You're nurturing them, you're watering them, you're fertilizing them, you are tending to them in exactly the way that those seeds need in order to manifest and come to fruition. Come summer solstice, some of these manifestations or seeds or plants will now be sprouting. Some of them might even have already begun to bloom, so you might already be receiving some of the fruits of your labor. A lot of them will be in that kind of middle range. They've been planted. They still require a lot of nurturing, a lot of love, a lot of tending, but they're not yet ready to be harvested. So this time around the summer solstice, I'd really like to invite you to invite yourself to just take a moment to pause and reflect. What seeds did you plant in your life in the spring? How are they doing? Now we're getting into a little bit more of the energetic or the manifestation side of this. So if you have seeds of intention that you planted in the spring, how are those doing? Do they need anything? Have you been tending to them? Sometimes when we're working in the energetic realms, it, you know, we're we're physical human beings, so we're heavily in the physical all the time. If you have a seed that you physically planted in the ground and you're out there watering it every day, you probably understand what that seed needs in order to sprout and grow. And if you don't water it for 2 weeks, you forget about it and it doesn't sprout, you don't blame the seed you planted. You understand that that seed did not receive what it needed in order to sprout and grow. When we're working in the energetic realms, those realms of manifestation, we have to be intentional about reminding ourselves, have we tended to that seed? Have we been making choices that align us with the manifestation that we are looking to come to fruition? Have we been repeating old familiar cycles that are just going to give us the same of what we've done in the past and are not going to bring us to somewhere new, right? We can't keep repeating the same things in the same old way and expect to get to where we're looking to go, right? So during this summer solstice, as much as it is a time of celebration and a time of abundance and this incredible energy, like if you've tuned into the summer solstice before, and even if you haven't, if you're in the northern hemisphere where this is where the summer hits, this is where our sun hits, you know the energy that I'm talking about. Even if you're not energetically attuned or you're not connecting with the summer solstice in the past, it's like you're brought to life in that energy of the sun. The sun is shining down on you and it brings up through this life that I think most of us spend a lot of winter kind of aching to feel again when you're in that season of life that you haven't attuned to your own inner winter yet. A lot of us have spent winters aching for summer or traveling somewhere hot so that we can experience that energy of life again, right? So summer solstice, it's a time of abundance and celebration and faith that the coming months are going to bring bountiful harvests. But it's also a time where I notice a lot of people kind of continuing into that push through nature, that idea that they have to keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. And that is not sustainable for us as human beings. That's the road to burnout. So this is a time where I would invite you to just consider a bit of a pause. Maybe that means taking a vacation, but I think for a lot of us, what that means is sitting outside, phones off, letting the sun beat down on us, enjoying the energy that we are absorbing from it, and taking a few moments to just reflect on where were you 6 months ago, 12 months ago? What seeds did you plant at the summer solstice? Are you feeling really energized, or are you feeling kind of depleted by now because maybe you never got that deep inner rest of the winter solstice? So much of what you planted in the spring has yet to come to fruition. And I'd like you to really consider, how are you sitting with that? Are you antsy? Are you in this energy of like anxiousness and kind of running in circles? Like you haven't seen that come to fruition yet. So you feel like you have to keep planting, or that it's not working? Or are you in a state of trust, of patience, of knowing that you did what you needed to do? You have continued to do what you need to do in nurturing those manifestations and those seeds, in making the choices that are going to lead you to where you want to go, and intending to these seeds of intention in the way that is going to allow them to blossom, to fruit, to become this bountiful harvest. You don't want to be spending this time just spinning your wheels, because really it's just a waste of resources. It doesn't serve you. It's not going to get you anywhere, right? I'm not saying don't work towards what you want to see come to fruition. Absolutely do that. If the choices and the actions that you're taking at this time are divinely aligned with the seeds of intention or the manifestations that you have been asking for, then absolutely go in that flow, right? But if you're in this period of like the in between, that fertile void where things have been planted, but they haven't yet come to fruition, and there's like nothing else to be done at this time, that is a fertile place to be. And everything that you need for those manifestations lives within that void. So if you can sink into that in a way that allows you to pause and to rest and to really connect with your own intuition, your higher self, and sensing into how you are in your body. Is there anything in your body that's blocking this from coming to fruition? Is there anything that is asking to be assessed or reassessed or acknowledged or felt or released or transmuted or integrated? You know, there's so many things that can come to the surface in that void. And other times it's just the great nothing. And there's nothing that needs to be done but to rest, to open to receiving, to reserve your resources so that when this does come to fruition, you have the resources, you have the energy, you have the space to and the capacity to be able to receive it fully and take whatever action steps need to be taken when it's time for that harvest. We don't plant these seeds and then they grow and then just suddenly they land in our lap. I mean, sometimes they do. But again, if we're going back to an actual physical gardening analogy, which I know I use this a lot, but it's because it's so accurate. You plant the seeds, you do the labor, you water them, you nurture them, you let them grow. And then when it comes time to harvest, that fruit doesn't just land on your kitchen counter. You have to go out there, you have to do the harvesting, you have to do the work again. And then you have to do whatever you need to do with that plant in order to maximize its potential. So maybe you have to cure it, maybe you have to dry it, maybe you turn it into jam, right? So there are steps that are going to come when the time is right, when it's time to harvest. And right now, if you're in that void, that space of in between, I want you to understand that that is one of the most fertile and crucial places to be. And when it feels like you're doing nothing, trust that so much is happening for you. So just sitting with that for a moment, let's just take a moment together to center, to just check in with ourselves, with our bodies. Where are we at right now? And I apologize for this centering practice. I can hear a weed eater outside my window, and I hope it's not coming through the microphone too significantly. If it is, I apologize, but let's just center together. So you may want to rub the palms of your hands together. You may want to place a hand on your chest and one on your belly, maybe both open by your sides, whatever feels good to you. And of course, if you are driving or you're in a situation where it's not safe to close your eyes or you can't rub your hands together, whatever situation you may be in, that's okay. Just do this in the way that works for you at this time. So if you're driving, maybe you just take a few deep breaths. You know, you don't have to take your hands off the wheel. You don't have to take your eyes off the road. Just take a few deep breaths and feel yourself land in your body. If you are in the kitchen cooking right now, you know, maybe you just want to take a moment to pause. You don't even have to put down the knife or the utensils that you're using or stop stirring the stove, but just take a moment to pause, feel your feet on the floor, and really land in your body. The whole idea here is that I want these practices to be accessible to you where you are in this moment. And as we accumulate kind of a toolbox of these practices that work in different scenarios, then that's what creates a lot of momentum and some powerful shifts inside of our lives, because we start to implement these little, like even, 2-3 minute practices throughout the day that really allow us to just come home to ourselves in a whole new way. So I'm going to guide you through this again. Just do this in the way that works for you, for wherever you are at this time. I'm going to start by rubbing my palms of my hands together, connecting with the energy centers there, connecting with my breath. I like to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth in a few deep breaths. Some of you may prefer cyclic sighing or another style of breathing. Please do what works for you. And as you're doing this, just allowing your body to land, allowing yourself to land inside of your body, welcoming yourself into this space here now, whatever that may be for you. As you do this, you may just want to take notice of your body. Where does it feel tense or loose? Is there pain or areas that feel really good? Do you feel connected to the earth below you and source above? Or do you feel like you're kind of floating? If you feel like you're kind of floating, just take a moment to feel the weight of your body on the surface beneath you. Maybe your bum in the chair or your feet on the ground. Without the need to change anything, simply noticing how your body receives these invitations. Does it sink into it naturally, or is there resistance? I want you to see a beautiful silver string way above your head, coming out of a beautiful, powerful white light. This is the white light of Source. Watch as this string travels down, connecting with your crown, allowing that white light to flow down through your head and through your body, out the bottoms of your feet, if that's what feels good to it at this time. There's no need to control this, just allow it to happen in whatever way it happens for you today. And now I want you to set the intention that you're connecting with your higher self. And you can do this in any way that calls to you, but one way that is simple might be, I call on my higher self to be with me now. I ask for your divine support, intervention, guidance, and timing at this time. Please help me to hear or understand what I need to know. And now I want you to just ask yourself, how have I been feeling recently? Trust the first thing that comes. And now consider, have you been feeling like you're deepening into the pause, or like you're in a void? Have you been feeling like you are spinning your wheels, going nowhere fast? If you feel as though you've been working really hard lately, ask your higher self, is the work that I'm doing in alignment with my highest and best and the highest and best of my manifestations at this time? And if they're not, then ask yourself, why have I been working so hard, spinning my wheels towards something that is not necessary at this time? You might be really interested to see what comes up for you with that prompt, because a lot of us just feel the need to be busy, even when it's not necessary. And we feel that if we are not busy, then we are not working hard enough. We're not working towards the thing that we are looking for or asking to come to fruition. And that's not always true. It's something that becomes really well ingrained in us in society, I think, and in our cultural upbringing here in the Northern Hemisphere and modern society. But it's not always true, especially on the energetic realm. So just seeing what comes up for you there. And I just invite you to get curious about that. Okay. If you are sensing into some realizations right now that you are going nowhere fast, that you are spinning your wheels, that you're working too hard towards something that doesn't need that labor yet at this time, then I would really invite you to just get curious about the why. Does that make you feel safe to keep spinning your wheels in that way? And that's why you're continuing? Or do you just not know any other way to do it? So I'm going to leave that practice there for now. In my summer solstice ceremony through my website, I will of course offer some deeper and more reflective and more intensive practices through that ceremony that we can really dive into that energy and explore what's coming up for us at this time. But this is just kind of an invitation for you to get curious about how you walk through the world, how you live your life, and what are you spending your resources and your energy on right now? Is there areas where that can be reserved? Are there areas where that's not serving you? I want you to consider your energy resources, your physical energetic resources. So that's your action, your doing, as a finite resource, like money, right? Money is actually quite an infinite resource, depending on where you want to go with that. But for the majority of people who have not done a lot of work on like money mindset, that sort of thing, you're going to be looking at a bank account and thinking that that is your finite resources. And that's the way it is for that's the reality for a lot of people in how they're living. And so I want you to consider your physical body, your physical energy, what you are able to do and when and how, as one of the most finite resources that you have. And when you look at it for a moment through that lens, what would you be scaling back on? And what would you be really dedicating your physical energy to if you were to view it as a bank account? And everybody's physical energetic bank account is going to look different. So for the people who live with complex chronic diseases or energy limiting conditions, that bank account is going to be quite small, and it's not going to refuel every week or 2 weeks or every couple of days the way that it would if you were getting a paycheck, right? So if you think about like sleep overnight or some rest as the paycheck that would normally come into your bank account, people who are living with energy limiting conditions are not going to be getting that regular paycheck that comes back into their bank account to refuel it. Somebody who is a healthy and strong, able-bodied person who is not navigating health challenges or burnout or neurodivergence or anything like that, they are likely getting that bank account replenished every night when they sleep or after a period of rest, right? And they probably have a lot more, a higher balance in that account of their physical resources, their physical energy, than somebody who is living with illness. So, no matter your starting point, I want you to just take a moment to consider, what does that bank account look like for you of your physical, energetic resources? How much you can do, what you can do, how you can do it, when you can do it. That includes cognitive energy, it includes emotional energy, and it includes physical energy. So taking a moment to consider that, what's your balance at right now? How often does that get replenished? And where is that being spent? And when you consider that, considering that a finite resource, understanding your personal limitations, how often that bank account's being replenished, how high the balance is to begin with. Are you spending those resources wisely? Or are you spending them on things that do not serve you long term? Are you working towards a greater goal in the end, or are you just spinning your wheels and wasting those resources on things that are going to be gone in an instant, or like a quick payout, a quick boost, but is not going to serve you long term? So thinking about it through that lens, just ask yourself, where am I spending physical, energetic resources that do not serve me at this time? Do not serve my highest and best at this time. And looking at that through a finite lens, what are my priorities right now for where that energy needs to be spent right now that is going to serve my highest and best both now and long term? Just see what comes up for you when you start to question that and when you start to view things through that lens. What's being channeled through right now is sit with that question over the coming few weeks. So maybe between now and the summer solstice or just after, sit with that question or have it in the back of your mind. And as you're noticing where you spend your energy, have that little question in the back of your mind. Is this valuable to me? What value does this have? Is this something that should be this high of a priority, or does it need to be knocked down the list a little bit? And from there, you might start to notice, if you allow yourself to get curious about this, where you could scale back, where you could preserve some of those resources and really enjoy this time of the summer solstice to replenish you in a different way. Come autumn, come fall equinox, we're going to be in harvest season. So there's going to be time to do this labor again. Okay. And I'm not saying you have to call everything quits and go on a 2-month vacation. I'm just saying scale it back to what is truly serving you at this time. That feels really good. So, what I would like to do now is just do a little bit of a card reading. I just want to get curious about what messages are going to come through for you now at the beginning of June and through into the summer solstice. Again, like I said, I'll have a summer solstice ceremony through my website that you can really dive deeper into these practices and more practices, right? It'll be a full ceremony. So, let's just see what wants to come through. Beautiful. And I have another deck too that's going to come out, but I'm going to start here. So we have the Seer Prophecy. Let's see if you can see that. This is a beautiful deck, the Sacred Medicine Oracle by Asha Frost. It's a newer deck to me, but I'm really enjoying it. We have Roots, and the number on the Seer card is 5, in case that means anything to any of you. My sense is that it will. This next card is Roots, number 11, Reconnection. Show you that there. I'm just going to show you these cards and then I'll go into my intuitive reading of them. Then we have 47 Mosaic Pieces. I love this card. And at the top, kind of an overarching message that I sometimes pull on top of the deck is 54 Sacred Space Support. What I'm seeing is that this is a time to really allow that light of the sun to shine down on you and then out through you, to allow that energy of the sun to come into your energy body and to start to clear away any blockages, anything that is lingering in your energy system that is not yours, that's not meant to be there, or that you may have been carrying from, previous years, previous periods of your life, or even past lives that do not serve you now. So there's also a practice that I might or might not get into through my website this season, of resetting our feminine energy, which is so in the winter, you reset your masculine energy, and in the summer, you reset your feminine energy so that you can realign with where you are and where the planet is now, what is needed of you now, so that you're not trying to act from these old, outdated ways of being. And those are the time periods to do that. And so what I'm seeing through this reading is to really allow that sun to come in and to wash away what is not serving you, and to allow yourself to absorb that light so that you can then offer that light back out to the world. You want to be pouring from a full overflowing cup, not trying to resource from an empty well, right? So I'm seeing a lot of third eye energy. It looks like the sun coming out of your third eye. And what I'm receiving intuitively is to really just allow that light to shine on you and into you, be absorbed into you, so that those energy centers can clear and open. And as you take this time to pause and to really reconnect with yourself in this way, you're going to naturally reconnect with some of those gifts. So every single one of us, it is my belief that every single one of us has these innate gifts within us. So I am not special for being able to see with my third eye. I'm not special for being clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. These are gifts that I have done a lot of work in myself to uncover and to cultivate, but it is something that I believe that every single one of us has if we choose to do the work to uncover them. And some people are naturally born with that open and connected, and a lot of us, it's like trained out of us through society, through the way that we are raised. We are trained to disconnect from ourselves. And when we disconnect from ourselves, we disconnect from those gifts and we disconnect from our own intuition. So as you take this time to pause and to really reconnect with yourself, that is what's going to allow you to reconnect with those innate gifts within you, or to begin that work or to deepen into that work, depending on where you are at in that journey for yourself. And as you do that, you want to really remember to continue to ground yourself into the earth. So it's beautiful to open up these higher chakras. It's beautiful to connect with your gifts of seeing or hearing or feeling. And a lot of that gift of knowing and gift of seeing come through those higher chakras. But as we do that, we want to really anchor into the earth below us. We want to stay rooted and grounded and connected to our human bodies and to the earth below us. And this is what's going to support us in being able to connect with those gifts from an embodied space, right? We want to be in an embodied way of being where we can connect with those gifts in a way that is safe and sacred and supportive. We don't want to connect with those gifts in a way that makes us like leave our bodies and float off into the ether and kind of disconnect from the world that we're in. Our souls chose to be in this human body for this lifetime for a reason. Being a human is part of our soul's evolutional growth for this season of our soul's life. We may have had many lifetimes, but our soul sees all of those as one lifetime. So when I say this season of your soul's life, what I mean is this lifetime in this human body, your soul chose to be here. This is part of its growth. This is part of its evolution. So as you are connecting with these gifts, connecting with yourself, connecting with the energy centers, and connecting with the energetic spaces around you, you want to simultaneously be deeply rooting, deeply grounding into the earth, into this planet, into your human body, and then allowing yourselves to connect with all of those gifts from a safer, more embodied space. And as you do this, my sense is, and through these cards, is that you're going to be inviting lost pieces of yourself home. Okay. I actually have a blog post that's coming to mind right now. If you go to my website, it's called Massive Transformation is Happening Now, where I share an experience that I recently had of a very profound soul retrieval experience. I have done soul retrievals for myself and for others, like hundreds of them, and they all come through in slightly different ways. So how you experience the landing of these pieces of yourself is going to be unique to you. And so don't get caught up in exactly what that's supposed to look like, or that it's supposed to look like the same way that my recent experience did. They don't always look the same, even for the same person. But as you allow this energy to clear you, as you deeply ground and reconnect with your body and take this time to really tune inwards and pause, my sense and what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing is that some of these pieces of you that you have lost or abandoned or forgotten or shut out, they're going to begin to naturally make their way home. And that's really beautiful. We are meant to be whole, imperfect humans. We're meant to be messy, like that's part of being human. So really allowing all parts of ourselves to be present and to have a safe space inside of your body can really support your growth. Because what happens is sometimes we have these lost parts of ourselves or abandoned parts of ourselves that are like screaming out for attention, right? I think in that blog post, I compared it to like a teenager who is like really acting out, but all they want is they are just like aching for that unconditional love of their parent. And so sometimes we have these parts of ourselves that are acting out in different ways and coming out in different scenarios that really don't serve us, and that feel as though we aren't even acting from who we are now. Like we're not even acting from this embodied space that we know ourselves to be, because these parts of ourselves are screaming, hey, listen to me, love me, notice me. Why have you abandoned me? I just want to be loved. And the truth is, all of these parts of ourselves deserve to be loved. And as we do that, we can offer healing to those parts of ourselves that allows them to create a safe space inside of our bodies, to create a safe home where they can have a different role. They don't have to be that teenager screaming out. They don't have to be acting from the toddler version of you where they got abandoned from. Because now they're being acknowledged, now they're being felt, they're being held, they're being nurtured, they're being seen. And in that, we can recognize, what was your intention here? What were you trying to do for me? All of these parts, they're typically trying to protect us, trying to be loved, trying to keep us safe, right? Trying to help us be heard. But they're coming from old past versions of ourselves that have not been fully integrated and loved into wholeness. So as we allow these pieces back into ourselves, we can love them. We can remind them that they are safe, that they are heard, that they are seen, and that they don't have to scream out for that attention. And then we can offer them or negotiate with them like a different role, a different way for them to show up in our lives and in our bodies, so that when we do come out into the world and we are acting in interactions and relationships and whatever it may be, we can be now acting from this more authentic space, this version of ourselves that we know that we are. So that's beautiful. And then the overarching kind of message here is sacred space and support. And from that, what I'm hearing is call on your ancestors, call on your guides. Make sure that you're calling in those that are in perfect alignment with your highest and best self and the highest and best of everyone involved. Okay. You don't want to just be calling in anyone and anything that is available to you. And I do have another episode on this. I think 2 episodes ago is safety and informed consent in energetic healing. That dives a little bit more into the safety of energetic work. But what I'll share right now is that as you're calling in your ancestors or your guides or your spiritual or energetic support team, make sure that you are calling in only the ones that are in perfect alignment with your highest and best self and the highest and best of everyone involved. Okay. We don't want to be calling in just like anyone and everything. And as you do this, call them in and ask for their support in creating a safe space. This can be a physical space like an altar or a room in your house, or even just like a corner of your bedroom even, or it doesn't have to be so physical. It can be, help me create a safe space inside of my body where I can pause. Having the physical space is beautiful, but it's also a privilege. It is a luxury to be able to have room in your home or your environment where you can create a safe kind of sacred space for yourself, where you can land in that space and you already feel like you're coming home. Not everybody has access to that. There are a lot of people living in unhoused situations. There are a lot of people living in small apartments with multiple children. Not everybody has that privilege to be able to create even a corner of their house that is just for them, for that sacred space. So that's why I want to remind you that it doesn't have to be physical. It can be energetic and it can be in your body. And that's the end goal here, is that you are creating space inside of your body that feels safe to live in. Our bodies go with us wherever we go for this lifetime. So people move or they travel or they run away, but a lot of our challenges, a lot of our pain and our suffering and the things that we're running from are things that exist within us. So we can run away all we want from external circumstances. And don't get me wrong, if you're in an abusive situation or a really harmful outer environment, then absolutely you need to leave when you can in a safe way. But for so many of us, the things we're running from are within us. And that's what creates a lot of this disembodiment, a lot of this disconnected from ourselves and from our bodies. So the end goal here is really that we want to create a safe place inside of our body where it feels safe for us to fully land, and where it feels safe for us to live this lifetime inside of this body. So just sitting with that, sitting with those messages. There was another deck that wanted to speak today. So I am going to see what comes through there and then kind of wrap this up. And like I said, dive deeper in the summer solstice ceremony. So this is the Ancient Stones Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. It's one of my favorite decks. We have the Holy Mountain Soul Calling Sacred Journey Pilgrimage. Let's see if I can get that. We have Hagstone Energy Shield Protection Inner Strength. We have Live the Question, Curiosity, Open Your Mind, Live into It. And we have on the top of the deck, Stone of Destiny, Life Path, Ambition, Passion, Yes. So this is the message that's coming through. Consider the idea that some of these manifestations that are coming to light, some of what is pulling at you recently. So if you've been just feeling pulled in certain directions, not by the outer world, but internally by yourself, consider the idea that there might be a soul calling here for you, something that is asking to show up in your life and come to fruition, something that is asking to be birthed through you. And that can feel really big. So just sit with that. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't have to happen overnight. And you're allowed to take your time with these things that are pulling at you, but you can't deny them forever. Okay. And when we deny our soul calling for a long period of time, our things start to show up in our bodies to redirect us, or in our external circumstances to redirect us. So you aren't going to be able to ignore this forever. So you're better off, and it is a gentler path generally when you can follow those soul callings earlier on instead of later, instead of when life forces you to reroute. So just sitting with that, and when you're taking this time to have that sacred pause to kind of take inventory of your life, where you're at now, where you were at 6 months ago, what seeds you planted in the spring, I want you to have this in the back of your mind so that you can really notice like what has been pulling you, what is pulling on your heart right now, what thoughts keep popping into your mind, what signs do you keep receiving trying to point you in a different direction. And sometimes these are really subtle shifts, and often they're not. Often they take really big leaps. So again, take your time with it. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow, right? Take your time with it, allow it to sink in, and start connecting with your higher self. When you're calling in your support team and taking this sacred pause, ask, what is this soul calling? What is the information that I need to know? What are you trying to tell me? And have a conversation with your higher self. You can talk to them and they'll talk back. And if you have not connected with your gift of intuitive hearing yet, then watch for those signs to come through your life, because spirit or your higher self is going to communicate with you in the way that your human body understands what to listen to. So you just need to start paying attention and watching for the signs, watching for the messages to come in. They might come in through a podcast like this. They might come in through somebody saying something to you on a phone call, or a friend, or, an email that you receive. They might come through a feather that you notice on the ground, or like sometimes like literally a sign, like a billboard that you drive past. Like it can't get more signier than that, right? So spirit is going to communicate with you in the ways that a human can perceive. And if you're not there yet with your intuitive gifts, where you can perceive this information through hearing or sight, or even felt sense, then just watch for the signs. Just start paying attention. They are going to come. If you start trying to talk to spirit or your higher self, and you start asking questions and asking for guidance, they will talk back. So you just have to pay attention, and you have to quiet yourself and still yourself often enough that you have the space to receive the messages that they're trying to tell you. So as you're doing this, you can also ask for energetic protection and support so that these messages that come into you are in true alignment with your highest and best, and the highest and best of everyone involved. Because again, you're not asking for signs from anyone and everything and any energetic being. So if you don't know anything about keeping yourself safe energetically, then please do look into that. Go back in my episodes, listen to that safety and informed consent and energetic healing, or do your own research. There's lots of different avenues of learning this information. It doesn't have to come through me. There's some resources on my website as well. Just be sure that as you're deepening into this work, that's the message that's coming through really clear right now, is as you are stepping into or deepening into this work, make sure that you are energetically protected. That's the big billboard in my mind's eye right now, is energetically protect yourself, do the research, get informed, make sure that you are keeping yourself safe as you move through this work and as you begin to work with this energy of the summer solstice. But not only of the summer solstice, there are massive transformations happening on our planet right now. Massive. And there is a lot of energy coming in from a lot of different places. And you just want to keep yourself safe. You just want to keep yourself in the vibration that is aligned for you. So keeping yourself safe doesn't always mean like, oh, there's something out to get you. right? I'm not talking about like a boogeyman in your closet. I'm saying that you want to stay on the aligned path for you. And that is not the same path that is for me or is for your neighbor or is for your brother. Keeping yourself energetically safe doesn't just mean keeping yourself safe from entities or from someone else's energy. It also means keeping yourself safe and protected on the aligned path that is energetically right for you, for your highest and best at this time, and is not being placed on you by somebody else, even well-meaning people energetically. And actually, that brings to mind that other blog post that I just referenced, The Massive Transformation is Happening Now. I briefly speak in that, I think, to what happens sometimes when I receive intuitive guidance about the people in my life. I think I've shared about this a few times. And in that blog post in particular, I was receiving information of something that was going to happen energetically with my husband. And I just removed myself. I did like the basics of what I needed to do for protection to keep him safe. And then I removed myself. This energetic shift was going to happen whether I was involved or not. And frankly, it was none of my business. But sometimes you can get into situations with healers or other well-meaning people in your life where they are trying to kind of force their energy onto you or force a certain direction onto you. And that's not their place. That's not a safe way to do energy work. And you want to make sure that you are receiving what is in perfect alignment for you at any given time. So that is the message that's coming really, really, really clear in regards to this protection. You want to really be learning how to resource from within rather than from other people. And in the early days, when you need healers and other people to support you in this work, you want to make sure that you are protected when you're doing that work with other people as well until you have the abilities and the intuition and the felt senses, everything that you need, the embodiment to be able to resource from within yourself. And so as you're moving through these questions and this period, and as you're reflecting on the readings so far, the message here is curiosity, open your mind, live into it. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? Just get curious about these questions. What is showing up for you? What do you feel in your body? What thoughts are coming to your mind? What pictures or messages or ideas are coming to you as you feel into these questions? And if you're not getting very much from these questions, what comes to you in the days or weeks after you begin to ask yourself these questions? Because again, if you can't sense into those answers, or that communication with your higher self just through hearing or seeing, what signs, what messages, what things like that start to pop up in your life in the coming days and weeks ahead. So I want you to really get curious about that and to live into it, to live into that pause. Don't just say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take a pause," but then like go back to busying yourself or scrolling TikTok or stimulating yourself in all of the ways that most of us use to distract ourselves and to keep ourselves disconnected and feeling safe, because a lot of us feel safe when we are disconnected from our bodies and minds, because that's what we have been taught. That's what the majority of our life experience has been or has taught us to do. And so a lot of us feel safer in the familiarity of these things that are not very good for us, rather than the newness, the unfamiliarity, or the discomfort of change to step into something that is actually much better for us, much more aligned, much safer in the long term, and healthier for us, and more in alignment with our highest and best at this time and moving forward. So get curious about that. What are your habits? What ways do you tend to naturally lean into to disconnect yourself or to help yourself feel safe? And are those things serving you, or are they keeping you disconnected from yourself? When you take all of this together, And I know I was going really fast there. Sometimes my channeling comes in really quickly. So if you need to slow this down or go back and listen to it again, please do. I will timestamp it for you. But as you bring all of this together in your life, the steps that we have talked about today, that is going to truly support you in realigning with your divine path, with whatever that is for you. Because like I said, what's right for you is not going to be right for the next person. And I don't mean that as just like a saying. I mean that as like truly your energetic imprint is different than any other energetic imprint, and your divine destined life path, the life path that is in most alignment with your highest and best self, is going to be different than it is for any other person. So as you take these steps, you're going to begin to realize that the only person who really has the answers for you is you. And that can be scary, but I want you to remember it doesn't mean you can't lean on healers or teachers or coaches, because we have to get to that space first where we are coming from an embodied space where we have access to our intuition, we are reconnected with ourselves, we are connected with the earth, we are fully living in this body and able to resource from within ourselves. Okay, we have to get there first. And that's a journey. I've been doing this work for 10 years. And even before that, it started through like psychology and things like that, learning how I worked and how I thought and how my brain and body connected or disconnected. So this is a journey, and it's okay to bring in outside support spiritually, for sure. Like, always bring in your spiritual support, but it's also okay to bring in outside physical support through a healer or a coach or a mentor or a teacher that is truly aligned for you and a safe person for you to be working with until you are able to resource this within yourself. And even now, like, there's the odd time where I will reach out to a healer friend and say, "Hey, can you pendulum test this for me, because I am too close to this." Right? So there's always going to be places for you to receive support, but you want to get to a place where you can resource this from within. And when you take all of these steps together and you begin to implement them in your life, that's the message here. You're going to be stepping onto your life path. There is going to be so much inner strength within you that you might not even know yet that it's there, but it's there and it's in you, and you are going to be able to pull from it and resource from within. And through that, your life path, the things that you are experiencing and stepping into, and the choices that you're making, they're going to be from a full body yes, right? Not like what you were taught to do as a child, not the things that the life path that you thought was just laid out before you, or that you were supposed to do because your caregivers or parents or teachers like thought that you were supposed to do it. This is going to be divinely designed for you, your energetic imprint. And when you step onto that path, man, those things are a full body yes. You are living from a place of passion, from ambition, not ambition driven by sales or finances or like external means, ambition driven from you knowing that you have fully stepped into your authentic way of being, that this is the path for you, that this is your life purpose here on earth in this lifetime. So, wow, this was a really powerful reading. I can't wait to hear from some of you guys. If you listen to this and it aligns for you, or it gave you any messages that you needed to hear, or if it inspired you in some way, I would love to hear from you in the comments, or on social media or anywhere, because this is one of like the most powerful readings I have had on a podcast in a while. And I know that these readings come through for the people who are going to be listening at the time that they're going to be listening, and that energetically, when this podcast goes out, it's just naturally going to fall into the hands of the people who need to hear these messages, and vice versa. And that's energetic alignment. And so when I do these readings, I'm so curious about like who you are and how this is showing up for you, and what an incredible reading. Like, I must be speaking to some really, really incredible people who are really ready to step onto their path and shift their life to truly align for them. And that's the work, and that's the dream, and that's the purpose, right? And that's a lot of why I show up here every month, and why I show up in my online container offering meditations and ceremonies and workshops, things like that. I have a 5-week series for people who live with complex chronic diseases, but it's also for people who are just looking to explore this work a little bit deeper, and maybe they're just getting started, or maybe they just want to deepen their practice and they're not really sure where to go or where to begin in connecting with themselves in this way. It's mainly meditation and energy healing based, but there's a little bit of discussion woven through. So that's a 5-week series through my website. It's all on demand, self-led. There's a gratitude immersion workshop, which, if you are not already fully embodied in your gratitude practices, then that is one of the number one things that I can advise you to do. Like, even if it's not through my workshop, just a gratitude practice that truly speaks to you and that is something that can be integrated into your daily life is one of the absolute first steps that you should be taking. And I wasn't planning on sharing that, but that just came through like a big hit so quickly. So some of you, if you're not already practicing gratitude, then that message is for you. Anyways, so there's a lot of other stuff available on my website there. I know most of you have already seen it, but this card reading, I just want to know who you are and what you're doing and how inspiring. And maybe, leave in the comments if you have already stepped onto your path in this way. Share it with us. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what you're working on. And yeah, happy summer solstice. This episode took a unexpected shift, as it always does when I start to bring in cards that I haven't tuned into ahead of time, because I'm just allowing that flow. As always, I really hope this served. Thank you for being here. As always, I am trusting you to take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. Please be sure to hydrate and care for yourself well, as any of the energetic transmissions, meditations, or self-healing prompts integrate into your system in the coming days or weeks. As with all the work that I do, I ask that this aligns for the highest and best of everyone involved, and I trust that you will only receive that which is in true alignment for you at this time. If this resonated with you, I invite you to consider giving back through your likes, ratings, comments, shares, or subscribes, as those help so much on these platforms. If you're ready to go deeper than what these platforms can provide, I offer ceremonies, workshops, guided practices, and more at www.denisealyssa.com. I look forward to connecting with you there.